Salve, today's video is going to be about prepositions and prepositional phrases. So what is a preposition? Allen and Greeno's New Latin Grammar has a good definition of what a preposition is. They say that it's a word which shows the relation between a noun or pronoun and some other word or words in the same sentence. Let's take a variant of the sentence that we had in the title slide. Cornelia sits under the tree. Let's mark it up. Let's show the two nouns, the preposition, and the verb for that sentence. In this sentence, under is showing you the relationship between Cornelia and the tree. Let's talk a little bit more about what they are. Prepositions and prepositional phrases, they help to modify verbs, giving a little bit more information to the sentence. Let's take another sentence. The boy falls out of the tree. Let's mark it up again, showing the nouns, preposition, and verb of the sentence. Here, out of the tree, that's the prepositional phrase. We've added more context to the sentence. We've answered the where question. We could just have the sentence, the boy falls, and that stops, but the addition of the prepositional phrase adds a little bit more information. What I just referred to, out of the tree, is something called the prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase is the preposition including the noun that immediately follows it. This is, like I said, referred to as the prepositional phrase. What I've done is I've highlighted that phrase in green so you can see what I'm talking about. Now let's look at some more examples that will show you the relationship between the preposition and the two nouns a little bit better. So Sextus is running through the fields. Through is giving you the relationship between Sextus and the fields. The slaves work near the house. I think this is a really good sentence. So we could just have the sentence, the slaves work. Well, where do they work? They work near the house. Near is showing you the relationship between the slaves and the house. Finally, Aurelia prepares food in the kitchen. Well, where does Aurelia prepare the food? She prepares it in the kitchen, and is showing us again that relationship between Aurelia and the kitchen. Now that we know what prepositions and prepositional phrases are, let's talk about them in terms of Latin. We've started to learn more cases and we've started to learn different declensions. However, prepositions don't follow those rules. They are not like nouns or adjectives. They do not have different declensions. They do not go into different cases. The preposition that we've seen a couple times today, sub, that's the only form that you will ever see. There's no nominative, accusative, there's none of that. There is only sub. With that being said, the noun in the prepositional phrase, that has to go into a certain case. That is governed by the preposition itself. So for every prepositional phrase, there will be a preposition and then a Latin noun that is either in the accusative or the ablative case. The preposition that you use decides which case that may be. You can see what that case is in the dictionary definition. A dictionary definition for prepositions would be the preposition itself, the case that it will go into, and then the meaning of the preposition. So taking sub again, it will be sub, it would take something in the ablative and under. So all prepositional phrases that have sub as their preposition, the noun must be in the ablative case. Now I'll show you some common Latin prepositions. I have this Venn diagram here separated by prepositions that take accusative nouns on the left and prepositions that take ablative nouns on the right. Here's some of the common prepositions that take accusative nouns. Per meaning through, prope meaning near, ad meaning to, towards, or at, trans meaning across, post meaning after, and ante meaning before. Here are some of the common prepositions that take ablative nouns. Sub meaning below, et or ex meaning out of or from, a or ab meaning from, and cum meaning with. Now notice that this is a Venn diagram, so there's one in the middle. There is one preposition that will take both accusative and ablative nouns, but it's really easy to distinguish between the two. That preposition is in. In will take an accusative noun when it is translated into English as into or onto. In will be translated with an ablative noun if it is translated into English as in or on. The first one, accusative, that's known as accusative placed to which. The The second one is known as ablative placed where, if you want to know the construction of that and why the two are different. Here is a sentence that will show you what I'm talking about. There's these two sentences. The boy runs into the garden and Cornelia lives in the country house. Both have in, but the first is translated with an accusative noun. The second is translated with an ablative noun. So, puer in hortum currit. The boy runs into the garden. The garden is the place to which the boy is running, which is why that's an accusative. Also, you see that into translation. The second one, Cornelia lives in the country house, would be translated as Cornelia in villa habitat. There, it's ablative because the country house is the place where Cornelia lives. Here are some practice sentences. Translate them from either from Latin into English or from English into Latin. Take a second, pause the video, try and work them out on your own. Now that you've had a couple of seconds to work them out, I will go over them. So the first sentence, the mother enters into the kitchen. What I've done and what I will do for all of the sentences hereafter is I will just bracket out the prepositional phrase so we know what it is. The prepositional phrase here is into the kitchen. Into is the English translation for the Latin preposition in. Since this is place to which, because the mother is entering into the kitchen is the place to where the mother is entering, the kitchen will be in the accusative. So the word for kitchen is kulina, kulinae, feminine. So we have to use that am ending since it's first declension. So the form for this one will be kulinam. So the entire prepositional phrase will be in kulinam. Now that we have that prepositional phrase, let's finish translating the sentence. The entire sentence is mater in kulinam intrat. Here's the second sentence. Princeps Cornelium a villa revocat. In this sentence, a villa is the prepositional phrase. A is translated as from, and villa is translated as country house. So your entire prepositional phrase is from the country house. Now that we have that, let's finish the sentence. Princeps Cornelium a villa revocat will be translated into English as the emperor recalls Cornelius from the country house. The last sentence, the slaves carry water across the fields. Across the fields is your prepositional phrase here. Across is the English translation for the Latin preposition trans. Trans, it takes an accusative noun, so we have to have the accusative form of fields. So the Latin word for field is ager, agri, masculine. Since it's plural, we're also going to have to make this plural. The ending that we want here, masculine plural accusative, is the long os ending. So your entire prepositional phrase will be trans agros. Now let's finish translating the rest of the sentence. This entire sentence will be Servi aquam trans agros portant. I'll write out what this entire sentence is in the description. I forgot to write portant for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm sorry about that. Now that we've had some practice translating prepositional phrases, I will talk to you about an easy way to remember which prepositions will take the ablative case and which prepositions will take the accusative case. We've learned that in a prepositional phrase, the preposition itself dictates what the case of the noun will be. Now, this will seem very arbitrary and very hard to remember. However, there is a really simple way, a really simple mnemonic to remember, and you will not have any troubles with this. Prepositions will always take the accusative case unless the preposition in question is one that makes up the SID space mnemonic. If the preposition is one of the ones that makes up SID space, it will take an ablative noun. Otherwise, it will take accusative. This works 97% of the time. The other 3%, there are a couple prepositions that don't make up SID space that do take the ablative. However, we will go over that. That's later. You don't have to worry about that now. Without further ado, here is SID space. So the first S in SID space is sine, meaning without. Then the I is in, meaning in or on. Then the D is de, meaning about, concerning. It can also mean down from. The second S is sub, meaning under. The P is pro, meaning for. The A here is a or ab, meaning from or out of. You're going to use ad with a D a lot, so make sure that you distinguish this one between that one. This one is a or ab with a B, meaning from or out of. The other one means to, towards, or at. The C is cum, meaning with, and the E is e or ex, meaning out of or from. Yes, you can switch the two S's. It doesn't have to be in that exact order, but these are the prepositions that make up SID space. All of these take ablative nouns. If the preposition is not one of these 8 prepositions, it cannot take an ablative noun 97% of the time. But anyways, for right now, these are the only prepositions that can take ablative nouns. The other ones, trans, per, prope, etc., all of those, they will take an accusative noun. Now that we've gone over SID space, let's go over some more practice sentences. Take a second, pause the video. Same deal as before, English to Latin, Latin to English. Pause the video, try and knock these out. Now that you've had a second to go over this, I will go over them for you. So the first sentence, Flavia runs out of the house. Once again, I will bracket out the prepositional phrase. So the prepositional phrase here is out of the house. Out of is the English translation for the Latin preposition e. You can either use e or a/ab here. Either one works. The two are really interchangeable. For me, I think of out of as e and from as a, but whatever works for you. So since it's e, it's the E in SID space, so we have to have our noun, the house, be in the ablative. So the noun for house or country house in this instance is willa, wilai, feminine. So the ablative form for that will just have a long A ending, so it's willa. So the entire prepositional phrase is e willa. Translating the rest of the sentence, it is Flavia e willa curret. Now let's move on to the next sentence. Puellae prope frigidum revum erant. Once again, I bracketed out the prepositional phrase, which is prope frigidum revum. Here, frigidum is an adjective, not a noun, so it can't end the sentence. It doesn't really make any sense to have the sentence say, the girls wander near cold. Doesn't really make sense, especially when you have another noun. All frigidum is doing here is modifying revum. So it's cold river. Revum meaning river and frigidum meaning cold. Prope is translated as near, so your entire prepositional phrase is near the cold river. As I've hinted to, this entire sentence is now, the girls wander near the cold river. All frigidum here is an adjective, and you will see adjectives modifying a noun within prepositional phrases a lot, so make sure you know what's an adjective and what's a noun. The last sentence that I have here, the slave women are working with the slaves. Here, I promise you, I put the verb, so don't worry. I bracketed out, once again, the prepositional phrase. With can be translated into Latin as cum. Cum is the C in SID space, so our noun will have to be in the ablative. The slaves, that can be translated into Latin as servus, servi, masculine, so we have to have that ablative plural ending, and that's long I-S. So the form of servus we're going to use here is servis, long I-S. Your entire prepositional phrase will be cum servis. Translating the entire sentence, the slave women are working with the slaves. Anculae cum servis laborant. Remember, are working is the acceptable translation for the verb. Now I've gone over everything, let's wrap this thing up. Let's bring her home. So, in closing, prepositions are words that show the relation between a noun/pronoun and another noun in the same sentence. This phrase, the preposition plus the noun, that is known as the prepositional phrase. The noun in that prepositional phrase must be in a certain case which is governed by the preposition. That will be either accusative or ablative, and that is depending on the preposition itself. The case will be ablative if it is one of the prepositions that makes up the SID space mnemonic. If you forget what SID space is, go back a little bit. I go over these before these last set of practice problems. Otherwise, if it does not make up SID space, it has to be in the accusative case. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.